Hey everybody, this is Kodak here, and today we are going back into that little series that I call How X Game Gets You to Buy Its Starter Decks. I've covered a few on here. I've covered Magic, I've covered Pokemon, and what I'm doing is I'm basically analyzing how a card game sells its starter deck product from the perspective of a potential buyer, as opposed to like a longtime fan who knows and has studied everything about the products. This is more about how the product appears when it's put on the shelf in order to get people to want to buy it. And I've covered Pokemon and Magic, but what I did not cover was the Dragon Ball Super card game. Some people were asking me about it, but the reason I have not covered it is because it actually had not given me anything to talk about. Most of the stuff that goes into the sales pitch of the Dragon Ball Super card game can be found in my Pokemon video. It's all about that brand familiarity. It's like, oh hey, this is something I recognize in order to help sell a card game. It is a very popular way to sell a card game. It was even more popular back in the early 2000s. In fact, this is actually the third Dragon Ball card game I can remember. There have been at least two others in the past. One that was done in the style of the Naruto card game, and another one that was done for a long time by Panini. Panini actually tried to revive their version of the game, but that did not really go places. But anyway, like I said, it's based on brand recognition to sell their starter decks, which is basically the same as Pokemon, so I didn't really have anything to talk about until recently. So apparently what they've done is they have put out these things called expert decks. Now, what an expert deck is supposed to be, it's supposed to be like a starter deck. However, it does a few things differently, which actually gives me something to talk about, because I think it makes some interesting decisions that actually don't really help at all. Although, for our purposes here, I actually picked what I think is probably the better of the two decks, at least as far as the perspective of drawing in a potential buyer is concerned. This is Expert Deck 2, Android Duality. Now, what this deck is about is it features the android characters from the Cell Saga. The Cell Saga was the series that came right after my personal favorite saga, the Frieza Saga, and while it does not get to like the balls crazy desperation that was seen in the Frieza Saga, it had a lot of fantastic character development for many characters such as Gohan and Vegeta, and yes, I would say the androids definitely come under that category. The androids, just for a little backstory in case you didn't know, were humans who were turned into combat androids by a mad scientist named Dr. Gero, who worked for something called the Red Ribbon Army, which is this shape here. That is the logo of the Red Ribbon Army. And you can see one of them here has the RR ribbon-shaped logo on his chest there. This is Android 16. We also have 17 and 18. However, 17 and 18 kind of took issue with being turned into androids and have decided to take their anger out on the whole world. However, their views on things do start to shift once the real bad guy shows up.
My name is Perfect Cell, and I'd like to say hello.
So they actually have a pretty complicated character arc. That, like I said, that's the one thing that the Cell Saga did better than the Frieza Saga, was the stories, the character development, especially for these androids here. So the term android duality, where they are, you know, basically dealing with both their anger and their urge to destroy, along with the realization of the true evil, is very much an appropriate name, and it's also very appropriate for the main character of the deck. Android 21 is sort of a literal combination of two of the big bads from the previous series, that being Cell and Majin Buu. Mash them together and accidentally add a secret ingredient to the concoction, Rule 63, and you have yourself Android 21. Although, here's where we start to get into my problems with the design of this starter deck here, and it starts with Android 21 here. So you can see the Android 21 character card through the window here, although you can't really see much of it because it seems like they decided that the booster pack included was more important. This is an utterly bizarre choice. I mean, like I've said in the past, I applaud the presence of a booster pack inside a starter deck, because it gives people who buy the deck a glimpse into the possible complexity that the game can offer. Magic the Gathering actually includes 2 booster packs in there, so it adds value and it gives people the ability to take a glimpse at what's inside here, but it should never, ever be the front page item in your starter deck here. It's covering up the cool card in the back here. In fact, the way she's posed, it looks like she's going, "Help me, I'm trapped in here!" And this just looks disgusting. I mean, I admit I kind of deliberately chose the booster pack with Hachiyak on there. The one with Baby Vegeta does look a lot better. It's a bit more flattering, but this is just, you know, an example of the perils that can happen by prioritizing the booster pack on the front, is that the old Hachiyak's head gets just... We don't even... Can you even tell what this is looking at this without opening the box here? This is... I have no idea who thought this was a good idea. The first time I saw this box, I actually thought it was one of those special booster sets like I covered on my channel a while back, rather than an actual deck. I actually had to pick it up to discover that it was, in fact, a deck, and that kind of betrays what you're getting here. Like I said, I always love including a booster pack. It's clear that this is meant to show a calculation of value, which can have its merits, but in the specific kind of deck we have going on here, I actually don't think this was the right decision. And the fact that it covers up the super special awesome card on the front, I mean, you can't even see any of Android 21. Honestly, this should be the thing that is promoted on the front. Another interesting thing is they don't really seem to be aggressively pushing Android 21. I guess she is technically a spin-off character, so I guess not highlighting her as much as the characters who are actually from the original story, 16, 17, and 18, might have been a decision to, again, increase the brand appeal. I mean, the idea would be that she would be technically on the front page by being front and center in this open window next to the androids that people are more familiar with. Like I said, brand familiarity is huge for games like Dragon Ball Super, and including characters that most Dragon Ball fans will be familiar with, definitely more so than the first expert deck, which was all of the noodly Saiyans from Universe 6, which I don't think a lot of people are terribly big fans of. But having the characters that are more recognizable is a good decision, although, like I said, I wish we saw more of that. And it also says for experts, so that implies that this deck is meant for people who have experience with the game, although I imagine people who are fans of the android, whether it be 16, 17, 18, 18's actually kind of a cool character, or 21, poor beleaguered 18, the time she basically had to babysit Gotenks and Trunks at the World Martial Arts Tournament, that was a scene and a half. But yeah, people who are fans of these characters might be interested in this deck anyway, so I kind of wish that we got a better look at the androids rather than a big old window showing us a random part of a booster pack. Taking a look on the back here, we have some pretty good specifics here. We have a deck list and one that mentions the ST rarity. ST rarity cards listed are exclusive to this expert deck, so it is telling us that we are getting a ton of exclusive cards. I mean, look at that. We got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Nearly half of this deck is cards that are exclusive to it. I imagine this is kind of what they mean by the expert deck. Yes, this is a good thing to put on the front. It's also a good thing to put on the back because, like I said, the front, where this thing stumbles on, should be the thing that makes you pick it up off the shelf and turn it over on the back to see what it's about. Leading with includes 10 expert deck exclusive cards is definitely a good way to start that. It's actually a grand total of 19 deck exclusive cards, which is very good. This is something that the Final Fantasy deck failed to point out. It did not mention anywhere on the box that it contained a ton of exclusive cards. The Dragon Ball Super, though, told me in the first place I would look if the site of, oh, hey, I know these characters, let me take a look on the back. Oh, exclusive cards, that's cool. It tells me I'm getting value, it tells me I'm getting stuff I can't find anywhere else, and nearly half of this set, it's Oh, it's how many cards are in here? It's 51 cards. Is it 4? I thought it was. Oh, it's 51 cards. So over a third at the very least. 19 out of 51 is a lot. Also, I'm noticing that all of the unique cards are at least a 2 of. So it means that if you want to have a complete playset of these cards, you only have to buy 2 decks. That might still be daunting, but it's better than a lot of games that only include 1 copy of exclusive cards. I mean, they do include 1 copy of Self-Control Android 21, but you will only ever need 1 copy of that card. We also have only 1 copy of Group Leader Pilaf, however, he is a common card from set 2, so he's probably pretty easy to find in the other decks. The other cards are, aside from the exclusives, which are in sets of 2, the others are in sets of 4, except for Maleficent Technique Frieza, which comes in 3 to make room for the Group Leader Pilaf. It's probably, I imagine Group Leader Pilaf's pretty easy to find, or it might be like a Space Patrol Jacko, which is a common card that's actually really good. But yeah, it flat out says it includes 10 expert deck exclusive cards, along with a quick guide on how some of the cards work. I do wish that we got a little more artwork on here. It instead has a very long list of stuff on the back, although it tells you the cards needed. This product includes a ready-to-play 51 card deck that you can use to start the game immediately. 12 cards from 237 times are randomly inserted in Booster Pack Series 8. This product contains some identical cards. The packaging illustration may differ somewhat from the final product. Bandai does not assume responsibility for the future value of the cards. That's an interesting disclaimer. I wonder if they have to put that in there. I know Magic the Gathering back in the day had to put on a reserve list. I guess this is basically to protect themselves from that in case they do reprints or anything like that. ST Rarity cards listed are exclusive to this expert deck. That's really cool. And the leader card will always be silver foil with a gold stamp. 5 other ST Rarity cards are silver foil with a gold stamp at random. So a few of these cards will come with the full foil stamping. The foil stamping is, like I have with Frieza here. It's got it's got foil stamping, and it has like metallic reflective parts on it that emphasize like the lightning on there. We'll get to see some of that with the deck inside, but hey, that adds a little more rebuy value. Maybe you can get a different set of foil special cards, but again, you only need 2 in order to get everything, and we do have that little bit of added value with the booster pack. Although I'm noticing something missing from this list here. It says contents: ready to play 51 card deck and a booster pack. I'm not seeing any rule books. I'm not seeing any playmats, although this can be taken both ways. It does say that it's an expert deck for people who are experts at the game, for people who have played it a lot. I assume this is supposed to be in the vein of like a Magic the Gathering Brawl deck, which is about having a lot of really good cards, although the Brawl decks are their own sort of marketing nightmare. I haven't been able to get my hands on any of those. But this one definitely has a lot better presentation. It has a very lackluster beginning, but it does everything that it needs to on the reverse side to really sell us on this being a good value. It contains a ton of exclusive cards. Those cards can randomly be shiny and spectacular, and, the cherry on top is the booster pack, although you don't buy an ice cream sundae for the cherry. There we go. There's an analogy for you. You don't buy an ice cream sundae for the cherry on top, and that's all the booster pack really is. But here's the thing about an expert deck. For a starter deck, a booster pack is a good value. This is for new players. They get an example of the deck, and they also get a look at the game's possible complexity. That is why including a booster pack is generally a good idea. However, for an expert deck, something that's meant to be purchased by devoted fans, I don't think I would go for a booster pack. I would go for something like a cool exclusive playmat or something that, the expert deck players would really appreciate. It's clear that they're going out of their way to include more special exclusive cards and more foil cards. That's definitely something that would appeal to expert players. But honestly, I think they can offer some better kind of swag than a random booster. So anyway, let's take a look inside. It's taped up here, but if you open it with a blade, it means that you can open the box without destroying it, which, that might just be me, but that's always a plus. It doesn't have any glue on here. Instead, it uses a little tab, so you can save the box for later if you like. And we have the contents of the deck here. So there's our box, which that's actually a window on there. So we get a booster pack with this little protective window on there, and there we have a proper view of Hachiyak on the set Malicious Machinations. Malicious Machinations might be a bit better, Machinations. But it is a set that, interestingly enough, actually uses a bunch of GT and movie characters in order to build it. I mean, I guess it is booster set 8. They can only produce so much from the regular show, although have they gone back and done like stuff from the original Dragon Ball? That might be kind of cool. I know they have like the different era setups, but yeah, that's Hachiyak from the movie Plan to Destroy the Super Saiyans. You can finally get a good look at him now, but you really couldn't get a good look at him when he was inside the box, though. And like I said, that actually came off visually as being really unappealing. But like I said, a booster pack is a nice decision, although like I said, for an expert deck meant for strong players, I probably would have gone with some sort of other cool exclusive. Although there seem to be a lot of cool exclusives in the deck. Self-Control, Android 21. So this is the flip side. It has, once I get it out of the, here's our deck here, all nice and wrapped up. Once I get it out of the set here, I'll be able to show you some more of the cool stuff that you can do with it, or the cool visual effects. Oh, I thought I had it there. There we go. Come on. Okay, so there we go. Self-Control, Android 21. So we have a look at that there. I'm getting mostly the foil reflection. I'm not really managing to isolate the sort of gold effects showering out of her hands. I'm sorry, guys, but this is our character card. It's double-sided, and you can actually see, speaking of Android duality, she's dressed up like a Harlequin, so I guess you can get that duality straight out of the box. When this card attacks, draw one card, so it has some early draw power. That's cool. Awaken when you have a blue-green multicolor card in your energy, and your life is at 6 or less. You may draw one card, then choose up to one of your energy, switch to active mode, and flip this card over. So, normally, in order for a card to awaken, you have to be at 4 life or less. Being at 6 life means that you can activate this card much sooner, assuming you have a dual color card in your energy row. And this deck does, most of the exclusive cards are double energy, so yet another good meaning behind the Android duality. This is just a great name for this deck. Once per turn, when a card in your energy is placed in your drop area by one of your skills, draw one card, then choose up to one blue-green multicolored card in your drop area and add it to your energy in rest mode. At the start of your opponent's next main phase, choose up to one blue-green multicolored card in your energy and switch it to active mode. So she is a blue character, which means that she is about energy ramp, and what she does is there are cards in the deck that are really powerful, but you literally have to destroy some of your energy to use, and she basically takes the edge off of doing that. So, interesting strategy, although she's the only character card I've seen so far that doesn't draw a card when you attack, and she also has a restriction saying you can't play battle cards with an original cost of 6 or more. So that means she could not use the Frieza card, who has a cost of 7. That does cut her off from some powerful abilities, but at the same time, it does give you a very clear idea of how the deck is supposed to go. So, up next, we have our special cards. We have Android 18, Mechanical Prowess. So this is the special card. It is also in foil, but this is normally not a foil card. Auto, if you have blue-green multicolor card in your energy, when you combo with this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and return it to the owner's hand. Combo is when you play this card as a power-up in order to increase the power of your fighter in battle. So this can have a beneficial effect if you have a blue-green card in your energy zone, which is pretty good, actually. Let's realign a little bit here. So we have Android 16 Mechanical Prowess. So we got a theme going here. Blocker, permanent, only one Android 16 Mechanical Prowess can be in play at a time. When a card in your energy is placed in the drop area by one of your skills, you may play this card from your hand. So that combining with Self-Control Android 21 means you can get him in play for free, although, again, you can only have one of them there, but you can get him into play for free, and Android 21 lets you draw a card and get your energy back. So that's a combo right there. We have Photon Wave, activate main, draw one card, then choose all of your opponent's battle cards and return them to your owner's hand. So It's a 4-cost card, but it's a field wipe, which is always really nice, especially to play on your own turn when you're about to pummel your enemy to dust. This right here, if you have enough of your characters in play, this can be a win condition card. Might of the Red Ribbon Army. Draw 1 card. Choose 1 blue-green multicolor card in your energy zone, add it to your hand, then remove this card from your drop zone. Remove this card from your drop area from the game, choose 1 card in your hand, and place it in your energy in rest mode. So what this does is it allows it to essentially pay for itself and switch in a new energy card. And there are some cards that benefit from being an energy card, although it looks like you also draw a card. I guess the idea with this card is if you put a card into your energy zone to try to keep it safe, you can get it back with this card. You also get to cycle on the draw there. And, oh, I got 2 foil Android 16 cards. Android 16, a new start. Also has a nice gold effect on the explosives there. Place cards in your hand. So what he can do is he has Energy Exhaust. So this is a multicolor card. He is simultaneously blue and green, which I assume means you have to pay at least 1 blue and 1 green to play him. But he can also provide blue or green energy. However, he has the genre standard. You have to put him into play tapped. You can't use a multicolor energy generator on the turn you play it. He also has an effect that you can discard a blue and green card from your hand. I assume you could also discard a blue-green card to bring him back if he gets destroyed. And you can also take a blue-green multicolor card in my energy and place it in the drop area to play it from my hand, essentially for free. It doesn't say I can't use an exhausted energy card to do that. Interesting. And that combos straight into the other Android 16 card effect, so I could essentially, on my first turn, play them for free, because, you know, they come into play exhausted, so I could basically put one into play. It'll be exhausted, but I can still play both of these guys on turn 1 if I lead with it. We have Android 17 Mechanical Prowess. When you play this card, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 blue or green Android card among them, and add it into your hand. Shuffle your deck, then choose up to 1 card from your hand and place it in your drop area. So this is the deck's card secret. Lets you look for more androids. Pretty basic. There's Mechanical Prowess again. Mechanical Prowess, Photon Wave, Might of the Red Ribbon Army, a new start, and here we go, Android 21, a bad omen. So, according to the back of the box, Android 21, a bad omen was a very important card. There is no unique rule in Dragon Ball Super, so you can have multiple copies of Android 21. You can include Android 21, the battle card, in an Android 21 hero deck. So, Android 21, a bad omen, Energy Exhaust, because it's a multi-type. You can pay 2 blue and 2 green to play this card from your energy area. Doesn't say you can't use it to pay its own cost. Interesting. And you can choose 1 card from your energy and place it in your drops area. When you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and up to 1 in your opponent's life and place them in their owner's drop area. So this thing has the effect that when you play it, choose 1 card in your area and place it in your drop area. Okay, yeah, when you play this card, you can pop 1 of your opponent's battle cards and ping them directly for 1 damage. So that's a very powerful effect, especially considering that it can combo with Self-Control Android 21 and some other card effects in order to just basically bring that energy back and maintain draw power. So this deck does have a lot of combo potential going on, although it's mostly between all of the deck exclusive cards. We'll have to see if the rest of the deck ties in, but it does seem kind of tricky to use. Like I said, it's about using energy, moving the energy into the drop zone that was already damaged, and it allows you to put some of these back into play. But you can use energy in rest mode. You can use her to pay for it, and you can drop energy cards that are in rest mode. So yeah, there's definitely some pro stuff going on. You get 2 of these. And we have Android 21, the Beautiful Scientist, a 4-cost blue-green with only 10,000 power. But it does have blocker. When you play this card from your hand, look at the top 7 cards in your deck, choose up to 1 card among them and place it in your energy and rest mode. Shuffle your deck, then choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, and you can't play battle cards with power between 3,000 and 35,000 for the duration of the game. So, again, that cuts off Frieza the Resurrected Terror. So this game, this deck has it's a bit lacking in firepower. There aren't a lot of characters that have high stats, The highest was Android 21, a Bad Omen, and it doesn't have any characters who double strike, triple strike, or any of those ones that deal multiple damage. Although, when you have cards like a Bad Omen, which deal damage directly, and which one was it? One of the cards under here, it was Photon Wave. When you use those together, you can just clear the field and, you know, wreak havoc on your opponent. Android 21, she ramps. She's a blocker. She can ramp. She's got a lot of really good effects, things that benefit a blue strategy tremendously. And we have Predation, Energy Exhaust, another multicolor card you have to pay with 1 blue and 1 green. Draw 2 cards, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. So there are a lot of important 1-cost characters that can be wiped out. This is a turn 2 card, but it can still have some effects, especially with that draw power. You get to draw 2 cards when you play this card, so it has some great draw power along with it. Okay, so now we are getting into the non-exclusive cards. We have Group Leader Pilaf, Counter Battle Card Attack. Play this card, then choose 1 keyword skill of the attacking card and negate it for the duration of the turn. Keyword skills, I believe, is referring to the ones that have these distinguishing characteristics, or perhaps it is referring to cards like abilities like Triple Strike. So you can use this to turn off certain effects. It can turn off effects like Triple Strike. It can turn off effects that like automatically kill cards or something like that. It's basically something that you can play for free to shut down an opponent. Seems interesting. I'm not sure if it's seen a lot of play, although if it's included in a pro deck, who knows, it might be. Android 21, the Ringleader. If your leader card is an android, when you play this card, draw 1 card, then at the end of your turn, your opponent's next turn, play 1 clone token with 10,000 power in your opponent's battle area. You can also, once per turn, for 1 blue and 1 green, if your leader card is an android, which it would be in this case, choose an Android 21 scheme in your drop area and activate it. I don't think this deck comes with any copies of that. No, it doesn't. Bit of an interesting choice. It also generates a token for my opponent's side of the field. I haven't seen anything like that referenced here before. We got a full playset of that. Maleficent Technique Frieza. Choose 2 clone tokens in your opponent's battle area and remove them from the game. Play this card from your hand. So I guess the idea is maybe you use Android 21 to create clone tokens in order to play Maleficent Technique Frieza earlier than normal. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and return it to the owner's hand. At a 4 cost, it bounces an enemy, maybe not as great as some of the other cards. But I guess you can play it for free using Android 21 Scheme. Android 21 Scheme is a card that, it's a 4-cost card, which is a lot. Although I guess the idea is, I guess you can do it for 2 if you do it with Android 21 the Ringleader. But it basically gives all of the battle cards Summoning Sickness and gives your opponents 2 clone tokens per turn. So I guess the idea is if you have that tied with Maleficent Technique Frieza, you can get some shenanigans with that. We have Nappa, who's a 1-cost beater. I remember the original deck, the one I screwed up the play on with Trunks, was he was a 1-cost beater, but you could only attack the leader cards with it. Now we have 1-cost beaters that don't do anything. I guess the idea is Nappa can't like be evolved into anything else. I don't know if he has like any special level up cards the way Trunks might. Now we have another Maleficent Technique card, Maleficent Technique Ginyu. Super combo, you can only have 1 super combo card in your hand. If your leader card is blue and your life is at 4 or less, when you combo with this card, draw 1 card. Super combo, I guess that means it's plus 10,000 at 0 cost, which is what makes it unique. Most of the other ones that have a 0 cost are only plus 5,000, some are even plus 0. This is similar to a Piccolo card that came out in the first set, which essentially did the same thing, but it actually provided a boost of 0 unless your leader was at 4 or less. It also had 2,000 more power on it. So this is basically similar to that, only it's more reliable in early game by providing the boost, and you get a full play set of that. And now we're on to the special cards, Bulma's Advice. Draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your leader cards, and it gets plus 5,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it says activate main, which means I have to play it on my turn, but it gives me an additional 5,000 points of defense that's difficult for my opponent to overcome. So I guess the idea is this is a card that you can stall with. Not sure if it works as well with Self-Control Android 21 because she can reach her activated state so much more quickly because she only has to have taken 2 damage instead of the usual 4. Absolute Release Ball, counterplay, if your leader card is blue and your life is at 4 or less, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 3 or less, it is returned to its owner's hand instead of being played. Then you may choose up to 1 of your blue energy and switch it to active mode. So it essentially pays for itself. If you have a multicolor card in your energy and your life is at 4 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life to your hand instead of paying its energy cost. So it's a basic counter spell, although it just bounces the spell card instead. So if it's against a weak spell, it's basically useless. But you can also play it for free if you're in desperation, by paying some life instead. Oh, Yamcha. Oh, of all the... Yeah, some pro deck, it has Yamcha in it. When you play this card, draw 1 card. Then for the rest of the game, if the turn player would use the skill of a battle card or extra card to switch an energy to active mode, they can't switch energy to active mode unless they choose 5 cards from their drop area and send them to their warp. By their warp, I assume that means removed from the game. But that's a hard counter for a lot of things like Senzu Bean and stuff like this. You notice Android 21 refreshes her card. The cards in this deck that refresh energy do it on the opponent's turn instead of on your turn. So this, they gave us 4 of them. I'm not sure why. You really only need 1 in order to lock down your opponent. And this thing seems like if, I don't know if the Dragon Ball Super card game uses sideboards, but this seems like an absolute shoo-in for this. This is definitely a good card. And then finally we have Masterful Technique Whis. When you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less and KO it, so he pings an enemy when he comes into play. 2 cost, 1500, that's not bad. If you have a blue-green multicolor card in your energy, when you play a green battle card other than this card from your drop area, draw 1 card. So he's sort of more of a support character. He pings when he comes into play, but you can also draw cards by playing green cards. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting deck design. It is one that is centered on manipulating your energy row. It might benefit from a bit more ramp. It might benefit from a bit more consistency. I mean, we have some hints of some cards that use the clone technique, but it is kind of strange that this deck did not come with Android 21's scheme, considering it has several cards that benefit from it. I guess the idea of a pro deck is it's supposed to sort of show some potential, because these 2 cards are clearly designed to combo with Android 21's scheme. And of course we have the deck exclusive cards, which are all pretty good and clearly designed to work together. So, oh, of course, we have the booster pack. So maybe if we're lucky, we'll get an Android 21's scheme in this booster pack. It's the cherry on top, although like I said, you never buy the sundae for the cherry on top. We have Supreme Technique Son Goku. Blocker, a rival blue-green. You can play him for 1 blue if you have blue and green cards in your combo area. I assume that means even if you use a card that is literally blue and green, so he would actually go really well into this deck because he's a blocker who can play for free. And when you play him, you can choose 2 clone tokens in your opponent's battle area and remove them from the game. When you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and places it in their drop area. So he can force an opponent to discard a card if you use it in the clone deck strategy. But otherwise, the fact that you can play him really inexpensively if you use a blue-green combo card makes him actually pretty good. He's a pretty good chump blocker to come in. Bulma, the Problem Solver. If you have a red-green multicolor card in your energy, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 2. Choose 1 red or green extra cards in your deck with an energy cost of 2 or less and place it in your drop area, then shuffle your deck. When you play this card, draw 1 card. The Bulma's Birthday Party deck, which I think is red and green. Dr. Wiro, the Evil Scientist. I thought it was supposed to be Willow. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. So we have the first side, Dr. Wiro and Dr. Kochin. So this is from the movie World's Strongest. And this is the main villain. This is another one of the movie cards. When you play this card in your leader area, choose up to 1 Dr. Wiro's Lab from your deck and activate it. When this card attacks a leader card, look atop the 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Frenzied Warrior among them, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. When you have 4 or more energy, or your life is at 3 or less, you may choose up to 2 of your energy, switch it to active mode, and then flip this card over. So he can actually flip if he manages to last 4 turns without any damage at all. It's an uncommon character. When this card attacks, draw a card. Once per turn, choose a card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Choose up to 1 keyword skill of one of your opponent's battle card and negate it for the duration of the game. If Dr. Weero's lab is in your battle area, has 17 or more cards under it, you win the game. Okay, so I assume that's something that has an effect that mills it together. Birth of a Super Saiyan God, a red card. This card gains Desire in all areas. I'm not sure what Desire means. That must be something new. Choose 1 red or yellow Saiyan or Earthling card with an energy card of 2 or less in your drop area and play it. If you played a card, place the top 2 cards of your deck in your drop area. Namekian Technique Piccolo of 5,000 power. It is a blocker, though. Choose 1 clone token in your opponent's battle area and remove it from the game. Play this card from your hand. Okay, so he can be played. He's a chump blocker who you can play for free. Not sure if that's great. Ghost Warriors. So this is a Hachiyak card. When you play this card, draw 1 card, then for the duration of the game, if the turn player would use the skill of a battle card or extra card, switch energy to active mode. They can't switch energy to active mode unless they choose 5 cards from their drop area and send them to their warp. Okay, so it's kind of like a Yamcha that's a one-shot. Miso Katsune Living Weapon. Oh, finally a Frenzied Warrior card. Blocker. When one of your other cards is... when this card activates Blocker, place the top card of your deck under a Dr. Weero's lab in your battle area, and this card can't be KO'd in battle by battle cards with an original power of 15,000 or less for the duration of the battle. Oh yeah, that's right, he's the one who's like Botema. Maleficent Technique Ginyu, we already saw that. Bulma's Advice, we saw that. Dr. Kochin, the Nefarious Scientist. Reduce the energy cost of Frenzied Warrior cards in your hand by 1. That's interesting. When you play this card, look at the top 7 cards. He filters for one. Hey, there it is! Android 21 Scheme. So, field auto once per turn. When your opponent plays a non-token battle... When you or your opponent plays a non-token battle card, it can't attack for the duration of the turn, so it afflicts everything with Summoning Sickness. When you play a black battle card, place it in its owner's drop area, so you cannot use the universal black cards. And at the start of your opponent's main phase, play 2 clone tokens with 10,000 power in your opponent's battle area. And Son Goku, Spirit of the Planet. Oh, so that's it's a regular rare, but it's a very shiny regular rare. It's also blue-green. Energy Exhaust, Revive blue-green, so he has the same effect as the Android 16. Permanent, you can't play this card from any area with skills other than Revive blue-green. You can't play this from any area. Oh wow, look at that. Activate battle once per turn. This card gets plus 10,000 power and triple strike for the duration of the battle. So that might be a decent finisher for the deck. So it would also do well in the deck. So, and that is a quick look at the Android Duality deck. And I have to say, aside from the really lackluster presentation on the front of the box, the rest of the presentation is really good. The back of the box made sure to let us know that there were a lot of exclusive cards. And I admit, however, it was sheer dumb luck that I got some useful cards in the booster pack. I could have just as easily gotten absolutely nothing that had to do with this deck. Like I said, it was dumb luck that I actually got a copy of the card that that smaller Android 21 was talking about. And it's the thing that would have made me go, oh, it does kind of make me wonder why they didn't include any in the deck. In fact, there are some Android cards that pull it straight from the deck, like on turn 0, but it was nice that I got those in the booster pack. But like I said, you don't buy a sundae for the cherry on top. And although now that I think about it, I know what would have been the perfect addition to this deck rather than a booster pack. Huh? How about some clone tokens? Yeah! How about some specially printed cards that act as the clone tokens mentioned mentioned on the Android 21 scheme and among a number of these cards? Just rather than a booster pack, run off like 10 clone tokens, make them look like the alternate color versions of the characters from Dragon Ball Fighters, and have them have all of the proper stats on them that we could use in the game. That would have been something that appeals more to expert players, something that they can use to put into play to represent what is necessary. I mean, it's clear that they're not going to include any of the clone tokens in the booster pack, so throw it in the expert deck for people to use. That would have been that would have been my change anyway. It wouldn't have been terribly difficult to do, and it would have been really cool. But either way, I do like how the deck is constructed. It does make it clear how certain combinations are supposed to work, even if it is based on the fact that some of them essentially have the same effect. But the fact that it also alludes to some other possibilities that would appeal to pro players, the deck itself definitely does a good job of justifying its existence. You can tell what the deck is intended to do, how the cards are intended to work together. It's even obvious enough that I think a new player who's never played the game would be able to get it if they had included a rulebook in the set. I always say that, you know, every single deck should include a rulebook. It's a chance to have an updated rulebook, etc., etc. But either way, this is definitely a solid design to go with. People who pick up this deck will know exactly how it's supposed to work. But like I said, they never will, unless your opener is pretty good. People looking at this from a distance might not think that it is, in fact, a full deck featuring the androids because of how it was designed. That's probably my major complaint about that, and that's really why I wanted to talk about it. But yeah, the deck contents are definitely good enough to justify it. So this was how Dragon Ball Super makes you buy its expert decks, and until next time, this is Kodak signing off.